Black Map in Droves. Okay, I had my fun. And so will you guys. I want to tell you that about this album here. I will also like to tell you, it depends on how particular you are about certain bands. And in this case, this band sounds a lot, for the most part, a lot like Chevelle. Now, I like Chevelle. If you've seen my Facebook page, or at least my sidebar, whatever we're calling it, that I'm not thinking of clearly at the moment. But if you've seen that, you've seen my CD rack of just pretty well most of my favorite albums, usually, with the Pantera, Deftones. Chevelle is, of course, amongst them. And, yeah, kind of figured I'd like it, knowing the Chevelle and the Tool comparison, but it was a matter of how much are they like this and all that. And from a lyrical standpoint, guys, even the way they kind of approach lyrics is similar with Chevelle to a degree here. I mean, I'm not really going to bother to go into the lyrics here so much. I mean, but you could tell, like, but when you hear some of this, especially with the track I just showed you, Run, Rabbit, Run. Well, hopefully you enjoyed that, by the way. I had some fun with that, too. I had to make sure the hat didn't fall off. But anyway. Yes, most part of the difference is that the band has been kind of labeled post-hardcore, whereas Chevelle's been post-grunge, and that's sort of mostly the distinctive elements of it. And to some degree, you kind of sort of hear maybe something familiar with Thrice, especially like anything post-Vishu, or even the recent album, which you know how I am about that album. One of the best, 2016. And so was that show, even though it's the only one I've seen that year. But yeah, a lot of really good songs here. The thing is that sometimes I feel like it can be a crutch, that they're so much like Chevelle, but there are moments where they allow themselves to have breathing room to get away from it a little bit, and in a way also break the whatever monotony this album may have. To some people, I guess. Most notably, silly hat. No, that's not the name of the song. I'm just talking about the hat, if you hadn't noticed. Yeah. White Fence, of course. Oh. Especially the way he hits those notes. The track Cash for the Fears, like some of his vocals kind of start to remind me. Like, I think that's also a big distinctive difference, is that his voice isn't completely like that of Pete Loeffler, which that in of itself sounds more like Maynard. You don't hear a whole lot of Maynard in this so much. You hear a more, dare I say, yeah, you hear more of a Dustin Kensrue kind of thriciness kind of thing. Or at least the recent stuff, or at least the earlier stuff before the new album, because he's not as growly or gruff as he is. But I definitely hear, like, Trevor McKeon from, TFK. I didn't talk about that album from last year, but if you noticed in the corner of some of my reviews, later in the year, the best I can talk about is that bonus track, but that only makes you want to like and further appreciate Collective Soul's cover of that song even more. Hell, I expected an electric version, not an acoustic version, but it did make me appreciate an acoustic version of a song, which is weird. But enough of them, back to Black Map. And tracks like Dead Rainer, I feel like, to a degree, what needs to be done is they're not as innovative. It's a matter of whether or not if they are influenced by Chevelle, or at least the comparison is there. How much are you going to own up to it, you know? How much are you going to own up to it? That's the real question of the day. And I'm here to tell you, they do own up to that. They'd show a little maybe Thrice elements. There's some other influences here and there, but it's very hard to kind of see past the Chevelle stuff. And that can be a detriment to some people, especially if you somehow don't like Chevelle. I mean, they're not... I see how some people would consider them bland. But I actually enjoy what this band has to offer. And it offers in a way that's sort of more like the earlier stuff, but also in a way the recent two kind of Chevelle albums. With that of... how am I forgetting? I'm forgetting the new album name, sadly. I remember El Gorgola, for sure. But yeah. Wow, this album is it's pretty solid. All you need to do is make something really good. And show you have some form of talent. And that maybe you don't have to completely rely on the fact that you sound like Chevelle. And sometimes that can be a detriment, and I think that might hurt them in a live case, I guess. To a degree, if Chevelle happened. Which, in fact, they've even toured with Chevelle, so that was kind of the weird part. With that. They've toured with Bush, and they toured with Highly Suspect, and I might have rather been there to see this band than Highly Suspect. I've even heard this band's previous album, And We Explode, that is a good debut. It's a really good debut. You can check it out on Bandcamp or iTunes, or pretty well the same way I could probably get this one, but with E1 or something. For the most part, it's produced by Aaron Hellum. He also helped mix the album. Most of the album, I'd say, would be mastered. Trying to think of who mastered it, but it was a big name. If I can figure it out, I'm not sure. But a lot of this album, most likely the band themselves have dealt with. And Vocal Hell, the bassist and lead singer, sounds oddly, or at least looks oddly, reminds me slightly in the facial features of Dustin Kinsright, to a degree. I mean, he's kind of thinner in his face and doesn't have thicker build to his face. But that's not what we're talking about as much as this album, which I liked this album a lot. I'm gonna say that for now, I think the band needs to at least try a little more into trying to figure out ways to be their own band, but without alienating the diehard fans who've liked what they sound like, even though they sound so much like Chevelle, but try to find a way to sound a little less like them. Don't get me wrong, guys, I have really enjoyed this album. Even if you don't like Chevelle, there's probably some little things you could find here that maybe, especially in the vocals more specifically, and there's some moments where, like, I think the drums pop out far more than Sam Leffler or whatever do with Chevelle. The guitars, I mean, they don't soloist or anything like that, so don't expect anything like that, so. But do expect a lot of there's so many similar traits to Chevelle, it's kind of not even funny, and it's hard not to compare it to them, and that may hurt, again, it may hurt them, but I feel like but they own up to it enough, and all they try to do is at least try to make good music, and just try to show that they have some kind of talent to them, and every so often they'll try to make songs that seem less like something that you would expect, and production-wise, it kind of comes off a little bit similar to, like, what I at least heard from Room to Breathe from You Me at 6. Similar in that regard, which isn't a bad song, even though I hear the rest of the album is, you can just throw in the garbage or something. From what I hear, I haven't yet to listen to that album. I'm not sure if I care enough to right now from You Me at 6. And I didn't hear much anything on the new You Me at 6 album either that was any good. So, but I'm going to say Dead Rainer's another great one. I mean, some of the singles are pretty good too. Ruin's not bad, and No Color isn't bad either. The Transits, Segways 1, 2, 3 are pretty good. The third one definitely comes off very Thricey. Like, there's definitely some Thricey elements, more vocally in the old guard ways post Vishu, but kind of sort of has some elements that To Be Everywhere is to be nowhere had. Thrown in here, I guess. That maybe helps if you notice that, and you notice that Trevor, some of the little TFK things that weren't so terrible about TFK, I guess, but didn't really do anything to help them break their monotony for that band. Or at least some of the recent stuff they did. Oh my gosh, that album was just, oh, that new album just, I just only liked the stuff they did since from Flame to All of Us and those 2 albums that happened prior to that, Welcome to Masquerade and stuff. That was about all I can honestly recommend if I'm talking about TFK. But with Black Map, that's definitely I know they're supposed to be touring for some, I forgot what it was, but they're opening on like Saturday for that particular tour. So if you have a chance to check them out, go check them out. But yeah, this shit's pretty good. I mean, White Fence, I think like his vocals hit a certain particular high that's really good. Coma Face is definitely a great closer. The Transit opening intro and then the Run Rabbit Run definitely was a great way to really get into the band, I guess. Foxglove's not bad, Ruins alright. Heavy Waves is nice, but I really had a thing connected the most to tracks like Dead Rainer. I mean, Indoor Kid was pretty heavy. White Fence was good. And Coma Phase, I think. Just My Luck Ain't Bad, but for the most part, I'd say go for like Run Rabbit Run, Dead Rainer. Octavia's pretty good. Indoor Kid's pretty good, but White Fence is definitely one of the bigger highlights because it sounds not so much like Chevelle, which is great for the band. And I'm glad to see that. And overall, guys, the album definitely worthwhile. I'd say thumbs up all the way. I want to give it a rocks, but I feel like it's so much like Chevelle that it could be enough of a detriment to the band, but they do enough certain things to keep you feeling like they're their own, still somewhat of their own thing. But yes, guys, what did you guys think? And so, what did you guys think of this new album, Droves by Black Map? Comment below, let me know. Rock that like button with thrust if you must. Share and subscribe. Please be sure to share and subscribe. As always, guys, keep it random, keep it real, keep it rocking. And I'll see you in the next video, which will either be Power Rangers or probably The Art of Anarchy, the Madness album. Stay tuned for those, and then following week, one good movie, 1 out of 2 possibly good albums, because one of them is more of a interesting thing for me that I've been, whatever. Just take care, y'all. I'll see you in the next video.